Hello children, welcome to my writing component. Our topic for today is UPSR Paper 2, Section A. In this episode, I'll be sharing with you, number 1, the format and requirement for the UPSR English Paper 2, Section A. Number 2, the analysis of possible topics that might appear in the UPSR. And number 3, tips on how to construct sentences effectively. I have also included a worksheet for you to complete while you're watching this video. Use the worksheet to jot down notes and complete the task given. What are we waiting for? Let's begin. UPSR English Paper 2, Section A format. Section A consists of a picture and 10 words as a guide. Pupils are required to construct 5 sentences about the picture. You are advised to spend about 15 minutes on this section. This section carries 15 marks. Let's look at the marking scheme for this section. This section tests your ability to produce structurally correct sentences based on the stimulus given. There are 4 bands: low achievement, 1 to 4 marks, achievement, 5 to 6 marks, credit, 7 to 8 marks, and excellent, 9 to 10 marks. Markers generally see if pupils have completed the task. Pupils must demonstrate that they can construct a variety of sentence structures. This means describing the picture using both simple and compound sentences. Also, markers will check whether you have made any grammatical and spelling mistakes. So in order to score for this section, you must remember the following tips. Use of both simple and compound sentences. Demonstrate understanding of the task by describing the picture. Mastery of vocabulary and minimal grammatical and spelling errors. I will explain how to use these tips later. But first, let's analyze the topics that appeared in the past UPSR papers from 2007 to 2014. Analysis of topics. I have compiled a table and it shows the list of topics which appeared in the UPSR Paper 2, Section A from 2007 to 2014. From this table, we can see that there are 5 main topics, namely places, people, actions, fruits, and activities. Out of these 5 topics, 3 topics appeared most often. They are people, actions, and activities. The topic related to activities appeared every year except in 2013. Meanwhile, the topic related to people appeared every year except in 2009 and 2011. Topics related to actions is also popular. It appeared from 2010 to 2014. Places appeared twice in 2007 and 2008. Fruits only appeared once in 2008. So we can anticipate that pictures and guide words related to people, actions, and activities will most likely appear again in the next UPSR examination. Before I share with you some tips on scoring for the UPSR English Paper 2, Section A, you have to understand some general guidelines. According to the marking guidelines, pupils are allowed to Tips for scoring in Section A. Use of both simple and compound sentences. As seen in the marking scheme, a good variety of sentence structures will place you in the excellent band. So make sure you can write both simple and compound sentences accurately. Let's briefly recall what simple sentences and compound sentences are. Simple sentences are sentences with one subject and one predicate. Compound sentences are two sentences which are joined by a coordinating conjunction. Coordinating conjunctions are words such as and, but, for, nor, or, yet, and so. Use the mnemonic fanboys to remember. If you are very advanced and you can write complex sentences, that's even better. For example, Section A in 2014. What can you see in this picture? Let's start with a man in the lorry. You have to be descriptive. You can talk about what he's wearing, where he is, and what he's doing in the picture. At the most basic level, you may write a simple sentence like, there is a man driving a lorry. If you're feeling confident, you may write a compound sentence describing what the lorry driver and the motorcyclist are doing. There is a man driving a lorry and another man riding a motorcycle on the road. For the excellent students, you can write a complex sentence describing what the person is wearing as well. A man who is wearing a pair of glasses is transporting chickens on his lorry. Demonstrate understanding of the task by describing the picture. Another way to score for this section is by describing the picture as detailed as possible. Study the picture given and use adjectives to describe what you see. Pay attention to what the people in the picture are doing and the objects around the people. Going back to the same picture, let's write a sentence about the two pupils. There are two pupils sitting down at the bus stop. Now let's write what the motorcyclist is wearing, what he's doing, and his location. A man wearing a helmet is riding his motorcycle past the bus stop. We can also do the same thing with a woman at the bus stop, but with more detail. A woman who is wearing a baju kurung and headscarf is standing at the bus stop with a basket full of vegetables. Can you see the difference between these three sentences? The first is for beginner pupils, the second is for intermediate, while the third is for excellent pupils. Remember, do not feel pressure to write very long sentences. Write at a level you are comfortable with. There is no use writing very long sentences and making a lot of mistakes. You will be penalized by the markers instead. Mastery of vocabulary. Knowing a lot of words can give you an advantage for this section. A strong vocabulary bank can help pupils describe the elements in the pictures clearly. For example, let's look at Section A in 2014 again. First, think of all the suitable words that may be helpful to write your sentences. Using a circle map, I'm going to brainstorm everything I see in the picture. This means I'm going to write down any objects, people, and what they're wearing. Helmet, vegetables, baju kurung, headscarf, glasses, school bag, pupils. This way, when I write, I won't be stuck for words. I can use the guide words and the words I have brainstormed. It is very important to be organized as there is only a limited time given to write. Minimal grammatical and spelling errors. Finally, make sure you read through the sentences you have written at least once. In order to get 9 to 10 marks, your sentences must not have any errors. Now let's look at the worksheets I've talked about. For task 1, I want you to look at this picture and think of as many words that may help you construct sentences. This picture is from the past UPSR paper in 2013. I want you to practice writing sentences based on the tips I have shared with you. You may write down all the objects you see in the picture, When you are done, I want you to write 5 sentences based on the words you have brainstormed. Good luck trying. I know you can do it. I hope you've learned a lot today. I really enjoyed sharing what I know with you. I wish you all the best in your UPSR. Till next time, bye!
Hi everyone, welcome to my UPSR segment. Today, we'll be doing some revision on UPSR English, Paper 2, Section B. In this episode, I'll be sharing with you the exam format for UPSR English, Paper 2, Section B, analysis on possible topics that might appear for Paper 2, Section B, and tips on how to score for Paper 2, Section B. Ready? Let's go! Exam format for Paper 2, Section B. There are 2 parts to Section B. They are questions 2A and 2B. A non-linear text would be given. Usually, it is a poster or an advertisement for 3 products. Pupils are required to study these products and read the descriptions. Pupils are then required to transfer the description correctly in question 2A. A table is given with some missing information. Based on the information given, pupils are to synthesize what they have read in the text and lift only the most important information. Each information is worth 1 mark, making the total for question 2A 10 marks. So read the information in the table carefully. As for question 2B, pupils are to read the instruction carefully. The instruction would dictate what pupils will write about. Based on the table, pupils are to choose a product and state the reason for their choice. This section is worth 5 marks. Let's look at the marking scheme for question 2B. As you can see, there are 4 bands. Low achievement, 1 mark. Achievement, 2 to 3 marks. Credit, 4 marks. And excellent, 5 marks. Markers will look at how you use the language confidently to state your reasons. Use of a variety of sentence structures and vocabulary will also award you with extra marks. Analysis of topics. Let's analyze the topics that appeared in previous UPSR papers. In the past, there were 5 main topics: animals, objects, food, places, and activities. The most popular topic was activities. It appeared 4 times in 2007, 2008, 2010, and 2011. Topics related to objects appeared 3 times in 2009, 2010, and 2011. Food appeared twice in 2011 and 2014. Lastly, places and animals appeared only once. Places appeared in 2010 and animals appeared in 2012. Tips for scoring in Paper 2, Section B. If you want to score for question 2A, you must follow these steps. Number 1, look for keywords in the table. For question 2A, some of the blanks have already been filled for you. These are clues to tell you what the expected answers are. For example, let's look at Paper 2, Section B in 2014. The top columns state the types of fruit: pineapple, apple, and starfruit. Meanwhile, the rows stated information required from pupils: fruit type, origin, before eating, suitable for making, and price. Number 2, compare information in the table with the information in the poster or brochure. There are already 4 blanks filled in for you. In the first row, which is fruit type, the box for pineapple is filled with the information soft and juicy. Those words are adjectives describing the fruit. So what is the fruit tag for apple and star fruit? The answer for apple should be crunchy, while the answer for star fruit is juicy. Next, for the second row, origin, the blank which is already filled in for star fruit is Malaysia. So in order to find out the answer for pineapple and apple, we shall look for names of countries. So the answer for pineapple is Malaysia, while the answer for apple is Australia. For the third row, the answer given for pineapple is peel and slice. So this tells us what we should do to the fruit before it can be eaten. The answer should be in the form of a verb. For apple, the answer should be cut, and for star fruit, the answer should be slice. For the fourth row, the answer for star fruit is juice salad. This tells us the name of the food and the drinks that can be made from these fruit. We should look for nouns. That's right. The answer for pineapple is cake, juice, jam, while the answer for apple is salad, juice, and pie. Finally, the answer given in the last row for apple is 1 ringgit and 50 cents. This is easy because it is specifically looking for the price of the fruit. So the answer for pineapple should be 3 ringgit and 50 cents and 70 cents for star fruit. Number 3. Be careful about spelling, capitalization, and punctuation. It's very easy to score for this section because the question is so straightforward. But with the time limit and the pressure from the exam, pupils tend to panic and they might get careless. No marks are given if you make the slightest spelling error. So pay close attention to how certain words are spelled. If the answers are written in capital letters, then make sure it is capitalized. For example, Malaysia, Australia, and Ringgit Malaysia. For the fourth row, there are commas, so make sure you include those commas. Also, the decimal point for ringgit. If you are very careful and your answers are written neatly, you are sure to score 10 marks for this question. Now, let's move on to question 2B. Number 1. Read the instructions carefully. Reading the instructions is very important because the question requires you to complete certain tasks. For example, the instructions for the 2014 paper sounded like this. You want to buy fruits for your family. Based on the information given, which fruit would you choose? Give an answer for your choice. See? The instruction is very specific. Your task is to choose a fruit out of the 3 options for your family. So this will affect how you write your reasons. Number 2, select a choice. First things first, there are no right or wrong answers. You may pick any option provided that your reasons for your choice are convincing. So pick a choice that you feel comfortable writing about. Let's say I prefer to write about pineapples. So this is the first sentence I would write. I would choose pineapples because... Now I have to think of a reason to support my choice. Number 3, use the information given. When you state your reasons, you have to use the information given to help you. However, you do not have to make comparisons with the other options. So I have to make sure that I include all the following reasons for buying pineapples for my family. Soft and juicy, Malaysia, peel and slice, cake, juice, jam, and 3 ringgit and 50 cents. But how do we turn this information into reasons? Simple. Number 4, use adjectives. We use adjectives. For example, I would choose pineapple because it is soft and juicy. Pretty simple, right? Okay, the next point is Malaysia. So what adjective can we use for Malaysia? We can use the word supportive. we should be supportive by buying local Malaysian fruits. Third point is peel and slice. Let's think. What adjective can we use to describe something which is easy to do? I know. Convenient. The pineapple is convenient because all I have to do is peel and slice before eating it. Next point. Cake, juice, and jam. Not bad. I can make quite a few things from pineapples. So what adjective can we use to describe something which has many uses? Useful. The pineapple is a useful fruit because it can be made into other products such as cakes, juices, and jams. Finally, what adjective can you use to describe the price? I can think of a few words. You can use words like affordable or reasonable. The price for the pineapple is affordable. Great. Now let's put all our answers together. I would choose pineapple because it is soft and juicy. We should be supportive by buying local Malaysian fruits. The pineapple is convenient because all I have to do is peel and slice it before eating. The pineapple is a useful fruit because it can be made into other products such as cakes, juices, and jams. The price for the pineapple is affordable. That's great. But you know, something is not quite right. There is no flow when you read the paragraph. This is where tip number 5 comes in. Number 5, use linkers. That's right. Use linkers like, in addition, moreover, besides that, additionally, and furthermore. This is to ensure that your ideas connect to one another. I would choose pineapple because it is soft and juicy. Besides, we should be supportive by buying local Malaysian fruits. The pineapple is convenient because all I have to do is peel and slice it before eating. In addition, the pineapple is a useful fruit because it can be made into other products such as cakes, juices, and jams. Finally, I would buy the fruit because the price for the pineapple is affordable. Number 6, check for spelling and grammatical mistakes. Finally, always check for spelling and grammatical mistakes. Read through your answer at least once. I hope you find the information in this video useful. Good luck with your revision. See you again next time. Hello children, welcome to my UPSR segment. Today we'll be working on UPSR English Paper 2, Section C. In this episode, we will be covering number 1, the exam format and requirement for the UPSR English Paper 2, Section C. Number 2, analysis of possible topics that might appear for Section C. And number 3, tips on how to expand notes effectively. I'm so excited. Let's begin. UPSR English Paper 2, Section C, Note Expansion. Section C is the last question in the English Paper 2, UPSR. You are required to write a short essay in about 35 minutes. This essay is usually in the form of stories based on a series of pictures and notes given. This section tests your ability in producing a piece of continuous writing using a variety of simple and compound sentences with creative use of language. When I say creative use, I mean using a whole range of vocabulary, adjective, adverbs, similes, idioms, and descriptive language. 15 marks are allocated for this section, so in order to understand how marks are given, let's look at the marking scheme. There are 4 bands: low achievement, 1 to 4 marks, achievement, 5 to 8 marks, credit, 9 to 12 marks, and excellent, 13 to 15 marks.
Markers generally look at how confident you are at expressing yourself in the English language. One way to do this is by checking whether you have used a variety of sentence structures, vocabulary, and descriptive language. Markers also check for grammatical and spelling mistakes. So in order to score for this section, you must remember the following tips. Use of both simple and compound sentences. Demonstrate understanding of the task by describing the picture. Mastery of vocabulary. Creative use of similes and idioms. Appropriate use of sentence connectors. Good introduction and ending. Minimal grammatical and spelling errors. I will explain further about how to use these tips. But first, let's analyze the topics that came out in the past UPSR papers. Analysis of topics. Now, this table shows the list of topics which appeared in the UPSR Paper 2, Section C from 2007 to 2014. From this table, we can see that topics related to activities had appeared the most. In addition, we can see that there was a combination of topics in 2010, 2011, and 2013. 2010 is about two girls buying ice cream for a poor girl. 2011 is about a boy saving his sister's cat, which couldn't get down from a tree. 2013 is about a family who worked together to harvest and cook tapioca. So we can anticipate that topics related to activities will appear again for the next UPSR examination. Also, there is a possibility that a combination of topics would appear. So it is better for you to prepare for this section by writing about stories with various topics. Tips for note expansion. Use of both simple and compound sentences. I have mentioned that one of the criteria for scoring in this section is to demonstrate confidence in expressing yourself in the English language. So by using a variety of sentence structures, you can show the markers that you are able to write confidently. It can be challenging because the longer the sentences you write, the more mistakes you're bound to make. You can play it safe by writing only in simple sentences, but you would be placed in an achievement band which is only around 5 to 8 marks. Simple sentences are sentences with one subject and one predicate. Compound sentences are two sentences which are joined by a coordinating conjunction. Coordinating conjunctions are words such as for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Use the mnemonic fanboys to remember. If you are very advanced and you can write complex sentences, that's even better. Compare these two examples I have written for the UPSR paper 2014. Example 1. Last week, Anissa and her mother were in the garden. Her mother used a trowel. Her mother wanted to make a hole in the soil. Anissa watered the plants. Bees buzzed above their heads. Last week, Anissa and her mother were working hard in the garden. Her mother used a trowel to make a hole in the soil so she could plant more flowers for the garden. Anissa wanted to help her mother, so she watered the plants with a watering can. They were so busy that they did not notice the bees above their heads. Which paragraph do you prefer? Both are written correctly. There are no grammatical or spelling mistakes. But which one looks more interesting to you? If I'm a UPSR marker, I will award more marks for example 2, because there are a variety of sentence structures. There is a good mix of simple, compound, and complex sentences. Demonstrate understanding of the task by describing the picture. It is very important that you include details to describe the picture. The more descriptive you are, the better the readers can imagine what you are trying to express. For example, let's look at the second picture. What can you see and how can you describe the picture? It is understood from the picture and the notes given that the mother was stung by a bee. How can we expand this idea and describe more about the picture? Here, you should use adjectives and adverbs to describe the situation. Now, let's think of adjectives you can use to describe the bee and the mother's skin. Also, think of the adverbs you can use to describe the bee's action and the mother's reaction towards the bee. So a good example should look like this. Suddenly, Anisa's mother was stung by an angry bee. She felt a sharp pain on her hand and she screamed loudly. Anisa quickly rushed to her mother and saw that her mother's arm was swollen. The skin around the area that was stung started to turn purple. Notice how the writer used adjectives and adverbs in the sentences. It gives the reader a taste of what the situation felt like at the time. Be warned though, that you should be careful in using adjectives and adverbs. Add them only when you are sure of the effect you want to create. Adjectives and adverbs that are wrongly used will give a bad impression to the marker. Mastery of vocabulary. A good piece of writing should demonstrate mastery of vocabulary. The more words you know, the better you'll be able to write, because you will be able to use words that are more suitable to describe something. For example, the word trowel given in the picture is a gardening tool. If you do not know what a trowel is, you will be in trouble because you wouldn't be able to describe what Anisa's mother was doing with it. Besides that, having strong vocabulary would let you use better words to describe something. Let's say a student has written, Anisa was worried. She quickly phoned her father at his office. Her father came home quickly. What words can you add or replace to make these sentences sound better? Since the word quickly was used twice, you should use another word. You can also replace the word came. What word can you use that shows someone is coming home quickly? You can use the word rushed. Her father rushed home immediately. See what a big difference it makes when you have strong vocabulary? Creative use of similes and idioms. If you're feeling confident, you should include one or two similes or idioms. Similes are comparisons that use the words as or like. For example, as fast as lightning, as busy as a bee, as brave as a lion. Idioms are expressions that have hidden meanings. Some common idioms are break a leg, an arm and a leg, beat around the bush, and call it a day. If used correctly, similes and idioms can add depth to your descriptions. For example, Anisa was worried sick. Her mother had difficulty breathing and it made her blood run cold. She quickly phoned her father at the office. Her father was all ears and rushed home as fast as lightning. Appropriate use of sentence connectors. A marker looks for a piece of writing that has good flow. Maintain the flow of the story by using sentence connectors. Sentence connectors are words like first, second, third, then, next, suddenly, and finally. These words are particularly useful, especially if you're recounting an event or describing a process. Good introduction and ending. In order to capture the attention of readers, begin and end your story with a good introduction and ending. A good piece of writing should be able to sustain interest of readers. So you can probably describe the weather or the condition of that particular day. It was a sunny day. It was a stormy night. Or you could describe the character. Anisa and her mother are avid gardeners. Anisa and her mother had the same hobbies. They loved gardening. As far as the ending of the story, you can either describe the character's feelings. Anisa was glad her mother was feeling better. Or give a moral value. Anisa and her mother learned from their lesson and would be careful working in the garden in the future. Or end with an idiom. Next time, Anisa and her mother would wear long-sleeve shirts and pants to protect their bodies. It's better to be safe than sorry. Minimal grammatical and spelling errors. Finally, make sure that your story is free from grammatical and spelling errors. Always allocate 5 minutes after you have written your story to check any errors. Task. Now it's time to put all what we've learned into practice. Using all the information I have given you, can you create a story based on the pictures and notes of Anissa and her mother? Starting with task 1 in your worksheet, I want you to brainstorm all the appropriate words and sentences that you think would be useful for the story. If possible, I want you to think of 7 adjectives, 7 adverbs, 5 sequence connectors, 3 similes, and 3 idioms. If you could think of more words and phrases, even better. Next, choose a few of these words you've brainstormed and write your story based on the criteria I have shown you. After you've finished, show it to your teacher or your friends and ask them what they think of your story. Don't forget to check for grammar and spelling mistakes. I hope you've learned something today. I had fun sharing my tips with you. Good luck with your revision. Hello children, welcome to my language arts segment. Today, let's have a bit of fun with short stories. This is the second video for the Year 4 short story called The King of Kites by Judith Hennigan and Laure Fournier. Previously, we've talked about the book cover, read the book, record the synopsis, and describe the characters and their characteristics. In this episode, we'll be responding to the literary text by identifying the message and the moral of the story, identifying the setting of the short story, and having fun with language arts. Before we continue, we will need a copy of The King of Kites and a copy of this worksheet. This worksheet will be useful later because there will be a task for you to complete. Are you ready? Let's begin. Message and moral of the story. We can learn a lot from stories because stories usually comes with messages and morals value. So we're going to try and find the message behind the story, The King of Kites. Reading is a great activity because it helps you to think. A good story especially will trigger your thoughts about an important issue. So after reading the story, what do you think are the main issues in the story? How do you feel about an event or a character? For example, I think Anil had a beautiful friendship with the other children. I love how he helped mend the other children's kites. In the end, the other children helped Anil by giving him their kites. So one of the messages of the story is, a friend in need is a friend indeed. The message can also be, a good deed never goes unnoticed. By helping others, Anil received help from his friends in the end. Another example is how the story describes poverty and how it affects people's lifestyle. I think Anil and his mother were a poor family because his mother had to work all day making clothes. Besides, Anil had to forget about his kites and help his mother by rushing to the market to buy supplies when she ran out of them. They were so poor that Anil's mother had to use his kite paper and strings to make clothes. Maybe they ran out of money to buy the sewing materials. In your circle map, list out all the issues that affected you personally and why you think that way. Share it with your parents, a teacher, or your friends. Now let's talk about the moral of the story. Stories usually contain moral values. That's why stories are good for us, because they are entertaining and we learn something from them in the end. For instance, I've learned from this story that we should be kind to others. Just like Anil, he helped his friends, so his friends helped him back in the end. I also learned that we should be also grateful with what we have. Throughout the story, Anil didn't complain about his life, even though he and his mother were poor. In fact, I think he was a good boy because he tried to help his mother in every way possible. So what have you learned from this story? Brainstorm in the circle map given. List all the moral values and teachings you have learned from this story. Settings. Setting of the story means the place where the story took place. Do you think this story happened in Malaysia? Yes? No? Skim and scan through the story again and jot down any clues that tell you where the story might have taken place. If you need more time, don't worry. You can always pause this video until you're ready. Are you ready? Okay. So where did the story take place? The answer is India. Did you get the right answer? You did? Well done. How did you know it was India? What were the clues in the story that led you to the answer? Number 1, people. If you look at the pictures, Anil and his mother and his friends were Indians. The women or girls wore bindi, or a red mark on their forehead. So that tells us the people in the story were Indians. Number 2, clothes. The clothes in the story also tells us that they belong to the Indian community. On page 14, Anil's mother mentioned that she needed to make saris, which are traditional Indian clothing for women. The pictures in the stories also showed various saris for women and shirts for Indian men. Number 3, traditional Indian wedding. The wedding scene on page 28 also tells us it was an Indian wedding. The bride and bridegroom were wearing traditional wedding costumes for Indian couples. A cow wearing a wreath of flowers also tells us that this happened in India, because cows are sacred animals there. And this is how we identify the setting of the story. Fun with language arts. Now let's have some fun. I'm thinking we can all be just like Anil and make our own kites. How does that sound? Great. It's really simple. All you need are colored paper. You can use any colored paper that you have. 2 long bamboo sticks. This is to make the frame of the kite. So if you have short sticks, you'll end up with a small kite. If you have longer sticks, your kite will end up bigger. So make sure your sticks are long enough. String, glue or tape, a pair of scissors. Scissors are sharp, so if you're not sure, always have an adult to help you, okay? Beads or sequins. Anil's mother helped him to decorate the kites with sequins, so I'm going to use them too. You can use anything to decorate your kites. You can draw colorful patterns, you can use glitter powder, stickers, just be creative. Methods. Step 1. First, take the 2 sticks and arrange them to make a letter T, like this. Tie the strings together with a piece of string, like this. Make sure it's really tight, otherwise your kite will fall apart. Step 2. Second, we're going to cut the colored paper into the shape of a diamond. In order to do that, place the sticks on a piece of colored paper. Mark the edges with a pencil, then use a long ruler to draw the shape of a diamond on the colored paper. After that, cut out the shape with a pair of scissors. This can be dangerous, so ask an adult to help you. Step 3. Now we can glue the paper on the sticks. Lay the paper flat on the table and arrange the sticks in the center. You can use the glue or tape to stick the sticks to the paper. If you used glue, leave it for a moment to dry. The main body of your kite is done. Step 4. Now to make the tail for the kite. You can use any ribbons and you can cut them into the length you want. If you have a big kite, you can make a long tail. Just use glue or tape and attach it at the bottom like this. Ta-da! Step 5. This is my favorite part. Decorating. Decide on a pattern you like. Then arrange your beads or sequins carefully on your kite. Use strong glue to glue beads or sequins on the kite. When you're done, leave it to dry for a few hours. Like I said, it doesn't have to be just beads or sequins. You can draw on your kite, you can use stickers or glitter or anything you like. If you don't like patterns, you can draw animals or people. There are so many things you can do on your kite. Step 6. For the final step, I have a spool of string here, and I'm going to tie one end of the string to the center of the kite, like this. Make sure it's a dead knot, and we're done. We have successfully made a kite just like Anil. I hope you've enjoyed doing these activities with me. Till next time, bye!